You're listening to another episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Yeah, hello everybody. It's another week, beautiful day. Got Jennifer Woods here from Harvest House. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff in the community, and she's going to give us an update on the Fridge Fund, and then what else is going on? Apparently they got other things going on in the spring.
Absolutely.
Which is the busiest time of year for you? Is it spring?
No. Well,
I mean, they're all busy.
Fall and winter. I mean, like, depending on what you... Texas, fall, winter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Usually this time of year is our slowest. We're going to talk about that.
Really? In terms of usage or donations or what?
In terms of everything.
Everything.
But that's a little different this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's going on. Normally it's fall.
Fall.
Yeah, definitely. Like September through December.
Well, yeah, and we were talking about last time you hear about you had much higher than normal usage, shall we say, clientele. And is that continuing?
It is continuing.
Okay.
It's slowing down a little bit. You know, people are getting their tax returns, but it's still, I was just looking at the numbers. I actually brought them here and we're on track to meet last month's numbers. So maybe I was wrong in thinking we might be a little slower. So...
Well, let's talk about the sponsors and how make all this happen. It's been a busy day. And at the end of this show, we're going to announce a few upcoming shows. This March is going to be jam-packed with candidates. I think I have 6.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
I like listening to it.
I know, I do too. I like doing those shows because that's really what this is about, is getting information out. Your types of shows and those type of shows, they can hear me yell about Joe Biden on their own time. You know, come by the house. I'll give them a free episode. You know? So anyway, thank you, what am I saying? CrossFit Burleson. Thank you, Daniel. CrossFit Burleson, over 317 Southwest Wilshire. Check out their webpage, CrossFitBurleson.com, and you can check out the membership plans and the workouts and the schedules. I mean, they have like early morning workouts. They have evening workouts. They get the whole thing. They get trainers. They get supervision. They have snacks. I don't know. But anyway, they got the whole thing going on over there. So check it out and get a good workout. That's it. Check it out. Work it out. How, you like that slogan? Yeah, see, I make these things up. Also, thank you to Shandy Stockstill Group. They're doing a lot of real estate. She just did a couple of houses last week, and she's doing some more this week. So normally this time of year is kind of slow, she says, but she's doing pretty well, and that's good for her. Plus, as we all know, she's running for school board race. I've been talking with her some. I also saw Dallas on at the Business Expo. We visited. If you haven't seen their shows, Dallas is on last week, and we had a little glitch with the audio on Apple and Spotify, so we've reloaded it. Also, Shandy was on the week prior, so if you can check those out if you want to hear about it. Also, thank you to Otto at Our Place. Everybody loves Otto at Our Place. It's just like this. It's almost like a town central. You know, a lot of these small towns have like the coffee shop everybody goes, and that's where you find out what's going on and all this. It's a good place to do business. You know, Otto knows everything. You know, it's like, how did you know that? Well, I just hear people talk, and oh, okay. Anyway, Our Place, a great place to do business, great place to have lunch and breakfast, and we thank you for your community support. Also, thank you to Wild Cigar and Culture, also another community supporter over at the Standard. If you don't smoke cigars, you have a good bar to drink from. If you don't drink, but you have good cigars to smoke from. So you got your
They have good coffee there too, I hear.
They do. They have, I mean, not just, you know.
Am I supposed to, can I plug Java John's
you
coffee?
can, sure, why not?
Because, you know, he's awesome and his coffee's awesome. So,
sure.
You know, there's free publicity. Java John's.
So awesome he doesn't need a .com.
I know. JavaJohns.coffee.
No, I you know, shout outs to local businesses, even if they're not like on the paid list. It's fine. This is a community show. No, I mention businesses all the time, and I've met him a couple of times, and you know, he works with Harvest House, right?
Yeah,
Java
he's our
John.
general manager of our resale store.
Well, he needs to show up here one time and be on
I'll
the show.
pull him along.
Okay. Wild Cigar and Culture. Thank you, Chris. It's a good place to do business also. It's quiet. You can do some thinking. They got a conference room, all the above. So there you go. Also, this week, you should get your Local Life magazine from Tiffany. It's always a busy week for her. It's like the last 10 days of every month. It's a sprint to get it all together in time. So a good thing with her, though, she really does take care of her business. I've been very happy with my advertising there. And so Local Life magazine comes out. It's 30,000 homes. And if you really want to reach community with your sponsorship or your advertising, it's a great place to do it. It's probably the best After my show, of course. But I mean, no, no, but it's the best, by far the best direct mailing you'll get. Also, thank you to Southern Jim and Gayla. I was talking to her Saturday. You know, we were at the Business Expo for our business networking group and our individual businesses. And she's part of my business networking group. And I'll talk about that at another time. Probably, I won't use your time. I'll do it on Thursday when I have Cabrina on. But anyway, they're supposed to be moving down, God willing, into that bottom floor
That'll
location.
be so nice because that
Yeah.
elevator doesn't work very often.
No, it doesn't.
I've had to get my exercise in going to see her a couple times.
Yes. You know, you get on that elevator and it's like, well, I could probably read the book I brought with me. But April 15th is the goal. And a lot of that has to do with when does the furniture come in and things like that. A lot of things they'll say, well, we meant to have it in by a certain day, but it'll be a week later or whatever.
Right.
So that's the goal is April 15th. But it's going to be very, very nice. And Robin, works there, and my wife, and she says on Kentucky Derby Day they're going to have like big hats and mint juleps and
Oh,
stuff
it's
like
fun.
that because Gayla's very much into horse racing,
know
and
that.
horse breeding and stuff like that. All right, thank you to Southern Jim, thank you to Hot Works. I'll be seeing you today for a little sponsor care as they call it. I'm going to drop by and see how she's doing because I like to do that. Keep in touch. She's you know Michelle Humphrey?
I do.
Okay, and I'm very impressed with her. She's a very sharp businesswoman, and that Hot Works really is very, very popular. She has a really good business, and she's opening one up in Coppell. If it's already open, I think. So, over in 731 next to Chicken Salad Chick. I met them at that expo, and
They're real nice people.
yes, they are. And I'm not really big into chicken salad, but I like theirs.
It's really good.
But anyway, this is Michelle's spot. Doggone it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. No chicken. Hot
Yeah.
Works. Go exercise. Don't eat.
Yeah, well, I get it. She tells me that they have a lot of people that'll work out and then go right next door and get a sandwich, or vice versa. So there you go. Also, thank you to Melissa at Texas Farm Bureau, Melissa Harmon at 682-804-0534. Saw her there Saturday as well with our little group. She'll check out your insurance. She'll make sure you're getting the best deal. If you are, she'll tell you. If not, she can make you the best deal at Texas Farm Bureau. She's my agent. Maybe she'll be yours. So 682-804-0534. Also, do we have any nonprofits? Yes, the Athena Society. I met my old friend Peggy Barnes there. And she is, a Burleson ISD legend. Peggy Barnes was here for years and years, and now she's part of the Athena group, the Athena Society. And they're having their Mardi Gras this Saturday. I'm going to read the script that she sent me because I want to make sure that she gets a proper designation here. It's a group of women business leaders in Burleson who are dedicated to making a difference in the lives of Johnson County and Burleson residents through care for cancer patients and educational opportunities. The Athena Society of Burleson assists Johnson County residents through various nonprofit organizations such as Texas Health Hughley Hospital in Fort Worth, South Cancer Care Program. Oh, it's all one word. Sorry, Peggy, I blew it. Texas Health Hughley Hospital, Fort Worth South Center Cancer Care Program, the Warren Place, and the Burleson Opportunity Fund. Now, that's another group I really like.
Love them.
Yeah, they were at the expo as well. In 2020, we met our goal of donating over $1 million. Unfortunately, COVID-19 kept us from having our annual Mardi Gras Gala in 21 and 22, but we're back at 23. So please join us Saturday, March 11th, for 18th Annual Mardi Gras Gala. The event will be held at Walnut Creek Country Club in Mansfield from 6:30 to 11. There will be live music by the Dolan Band, which is well known here. They do a lot of these things. A station-style dinner, casino play, and a live auction featuring many special items. So check out their website at athenasocietyofburleson.org and to see more information. I'll be talking about this tomorrow and Thursday, but it's happening Saturday night, so they do good work. And Peggy is one of the best people you ever meet, so
Awesome.
I'm glad to help her. All right, let's talk about Harvest House, though. There's it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's talk. First of all, I'm interested about that that fridge fund that we had been kind of pushing. Did you meet your goal or come close to it at least?
We raised about $1,000. So
1,000?
1,000.
I
So
was
I
hoping
mean,
for a
I'm
little
grateful
more.
for that 1,000.
Yes, but-
I am very grateful for that 1,000 because we're, closer.
Closer, but yeah, but I was hoping for a little
5,000.
more. I know you were
I know,
too,
but that's okay.
But are you going to be able to install that fund?
Not yet. we're still going to continue to.
So y'all don't do
Raise
credit
money.
business, really. I mean,
No.
that's like we're not going to put it on a tab or on a credit card.
No.
No,
We can't.
You,
We can't. I mean, we would not do well. I mean, like, we don't want to get into debt and then not be able to pay it off. And, so, yeah, we're real careful about how we do our money and stuff like that. So
Right.
we generally do cash pay and go that way. So we will continue to work toward it. It'll happen in the right time. And so we're just believing for it, and we'll get it.
It's definitely a prayer.
So now
request
we only
item.
need 19,000
well,
for that.
There you go. And
It's pretty good. We also need 60,000 now for a driveway. So, but we had the American Rescue Plan grant, and so I heard, and I need to talk to our the commissioner's court, but there may be some funds available at the very end that not everybody's using. So hoping that happens, that we might be able to apply for a little bit more, or somebody else.
Yes,
We've
well,
written
just
some
tell
different
them-
grants and stuff.
Tell my old friend Chris Boddicker I sent you. Well, I've met him once. So I don't know. I met him when he came on the show when he was running. So, but he's a Baylor guy, so I know his heart's so
Taylor,
cold. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
they do their best with what they have, and so many people needed help and want help. So I understand, and it'll come about at the right time. I do believe that very much. So
Well, I believe that to be true. Also,
we're not there yet, so we still have a little bit of time till we get to that part of the project. So
Yeah.
I'm just trusting that. God
Still,
will
it'd
provide,
be nice. The sooner the better, because I know there are people that are very much in need of this particular service. We
Yeah.
talked before about how having your own ability to shop and whatnot, and have a variety of meals and types of food really matters a lot to a lot of these people, and that it's a
Well, it matters to all of us.
Well.
I mean, there's just a reality. We all like to have variety and fresh foods, and that's one of the things we really work towards, is not just food, but fresh, healthy foods and stuff like that. And so, the more refrigerator space we will have will allow us to, because there's been times we've had trucks that have come and we've had to turn them away because we didn't have where to put 5 pallets of whatever the fresh food was.
But you do have some refrigeration.
We do have refrigerator. We have quite a bit, but
Yeah.
when you get somebody who comes with a tractor trailer full of stuff that's been rejected by a grocery store, which happens sometimes.
Why would they reject it?
It wasn't on their list to receive.
That kind of brings
It's
up
a weird
point.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird
Yeah.
thing. I mean, we got 17 pallets of water that we ended up not being able to receive, but we ended up redistributing to the fire department and police department. But those are things if we had a refrigerator. So when we get a truckload of milk, we could keep it, that kind of thing. So
Well, here's the deal. I remember, I don't know how long ago, but I saw a posting of yours on your Facebook page about Best Buy dates.
yes,
Okay, that's a lot different than expiration dates.
very different than an
So why don't you
expiration
explain that again? I know you
Yeah.
did it once before, but apparently there is a lot of confusion, because I'll see something and this is Best Buy and I'll eat it, and others will say, oh, I have to get rid of it. And that's
they
not how it
actually
works.
changed it. I don't know how many years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, because I feel like it was right after I started at Harvest House. And even the way they printed it used to say expiration date, but they realized that so much food is going to waste when it's really a best by date. So, if you get something and even on your milk, it's got a date on it, that's your best by date. That doesn't mean it's bad. It could go for a week. It could go for a month, especially things like yogurt and stuff. They can go up to a month past. Now, we don't give it out that far, but I think I can't remember if it's 10 days or 7 days past that Best Buy date that it's still good. Canned foods can go anywhere from 1 year to 5 years. So there's a lot of flexibility, and people don't realize it. Now, you might lose a little bit of the freshness, but it's not bad for you. It's not going to make you sick. It's not going to hurt you. So when you look in your refrigerator and you have something from, 2015 or something like that, depending on what it is, you might not have to freak out about it.
Well, when I was a lot younger, and like a lot of young men, I ate a lot of canned food. I mean, we'd have my mother, God bless her, would hear, I'm going to the store, what can I get you? And she'd come back like with a case of soup or something like that.
Right.
And I could eat that for a long, long time,
Right.
even if it was the Best Buy date or what expiration date or whatever was passed. And the only time I ever got food poisoning is when I was in college. I got from a can of chili, and you're just begging to die when you get food poisoning.
Well, things with tomato, people don't realize that that's 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So, like your chili probably had tomato in it, and it was probably 4 or 5 years. The tomato doesn't last. I learned that. That's kind of surprising to me. So, things with tomato, you want to kind of follow that best by date, 6 to 12 months. The other thing, this is so weird, but cheese, like macaroni and cheese, even the box stuff, not more than a year.
Really? Why is that?
If you open it, all I know is or like Velveeta, you open it up, it'll be brown.
Really? That's too bad.
Yeah, it's weird
of course.
because you think it would last longer, but it doesn't. Because is there anything real in it anyway?
Hey, you
Let's
sound
just
like my
be real.
wife. Because I would eat a lot of Velveeta shells and cheese.
Those are
if
the
my
best.
diabetes wouldn't have it. Well, my diabetes would go through the roof. And
I know, but it's good.
it's great. I make my queso for Sports Saturday with
Yeah.
Velveeta, and she's looking at it and said, "I'm going to read what's on this box." And,
No.
it's just,
There's nothing.
No, you're just spoiling it. Don't read
Milk
it.
product.
Somewhat familiar with milk or whatever they have.
Right.
What is the best kind of thing to bring when it comes to food items anyway?
Food items, I go by a lot of times like what people want the most. Spaghetti and sauce, any kind of noodles and sauce, like refried beans.
I like those too.
Canned fruit is super expensive, so it's one of those things that people don't bring a lot. I will say that the least item we need is green beans.
Why
I
is
say
it-
that all the time because they're least expensive.
Well, I hate green beans anyway.
But a lot of people don't eat green beans like any other vegetable. So like they think green bean casserole. So we will always get enough green beans. But people will eat corn, and it's a little bit more flexible, corn and potatoes, and I never knew there were canned potatoes until I started working here.
Yeah, I've seen them before, and I'm just like, why? What's the point?
Because they last.
I guess
Because
but
they're about longer than a
not in our
potato.
house.
Well,
And we eat a lot of potatoes, more than I need actually, but that's my weakness. And according to my
that's why I don't eat macaroni and cheese, because I love macaroni and cheese. I have to just stay away from it. I don't even bring it into the house.
if I had like lunch meat or other kind of stuff, there is a place for that, right? Stuff
Yes.
that can be refrigerated. Lunch
Absolutely.
meat,
We can take,
sausage, whatever.
absolutely frozen vegetables, frozen fruits. We can take all of those items. We do have a walk-in freezer right now, and we have quite a few walk-in refrigerators, and some can be either refrigerator, freezer. They're kind of cool. So we can definitely take those things. If you bring meat, as long as it's been professionally processed and has a label on it, we can do it. So like if somebody, we've had people bring us things like venison and stuff, but if it has to be professionally processed, you can't do it at home, and then it has to have a label on it, which they normally have some sort of like where it was processed and stuff like that, and then we can give it out.
So if I,
As long as we can source its origin.
Right. So if I were a hunter and I, bagged deer, I could, after a good professionally processed, I could bring it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it has to have we have to know when it was processed and where and all that stuff.
Does
So
it
we
happen often?
At least once a year.
Okay.
We'll get a distribution of venison. So that's awesome. We love it because, come on.
Well, that's interesting though. I'm not a hunter. I don't try to pretend like I am, but I'm glad that the meat is useful.
It is.
Game hunting is one thing, but using the meat, consuming the product, so to speak. That's been going on since the dawn of time. So I'm for it. I'm all for
I'm
that.
100% hunting if you use all the meat and stuff.
Yes.
Not just for trophies.
I never could go on like an African safari and bag a lion or something like that. Because why? You're not going to eat it. And so what's the point of doing that?
I learned this, and I'm not saying I'm for safari hunts or against it. It's just it's still something out there. But a lot of times they're in restricted areas. It's not in the wild,
Right.
and they give all that food to like poor areas, and so the food that they get actually goes to feed the community. So I'm like, if that's true, I don't have so much of an issue with it, as long as it's on like a land where they're raising them specifically for this and stuff. But it's just not my game.
No.
It's not my game.
I got it. I got not your game. See, game hunt. I got a good pun. Anyway, so as far as other items besides food, there's also, of course, the resale shop. And I was telling you before the show, my wife and daughter have been kind of clearing out some space in both their houses, and we gave up some exercise equipment.
Yeah.
And see, that's not something you might think of. Most people think of Harvest House as either food or clothes, but they're not thinking about
furniture and stuff is fabulous because, you know, like if you go there right now, I mean, we have some nice couches and chairs and, you know, college students, but even just anybody, your couch breaks down. I mean, people donate really nice stuff. And if it doesn't meet a certain quality, we won't put it out. But as long as it's like in good condition, it's not super dirty and stuff like that, we will resell it. If it's really in bad shape, please don't bring it because then it's just, we have to find a way to dump it. But things that are clean and things that you would feel good about giving to someone else. We help people after they have house fires. We help people who, you know, are moving out of homelessness into a home. There's a lot of, I mean, and the general public buys it. And I just want to reiterate that we've always sold our items. Okay. Well, at least as long as I've been here. I think when they first opened, they may not have, but we also give away, I actually have the numbers from last year. So last month, we gave away 69,000 pounds of clothing and housewares and no, that's not right. It's 89,000 pounds we distributed back to clients and stuff. So, you know, while we do sell our items, we still give items free to our clients, and anything sold, all of those dollars go back to Harvest House. We treat it like a fundraiser. So we're not just selling it to sell it. That comes back. It helps us pay for our programs, our operational costs. Because I was sharing with you earlier, you know, one of the big focuses of 2023 is helping prevent homelessness because everybody has seen the homeless rising, you know, and there's a lot more around. But what you don't see is those who are couch hopping, those who are living in their cars, which is exponentially greater than I've ever seen. And it's because they get behind on rent, mortgage, they get evicted, and they have nowhere to go. There are people now who live in hotels because it's cheaper than rent. And
I've heard that, yes.
It's really sad. I mean, that's not what we want either. You know, we actually, right before I left, we were looking at there was a situation with some clients that their house had been purchased by a corporation. And they went up like $400 a month, and now they were continued to pay. But even with paying what they had paid before, they're $3,000 behind. And they're a nice family. They work, but they cannot afford the jump that went up in rent. And I mean, there's some responsibility on their part. So I'm not trying to say that, but like, what are your other options? I mean, it went up to $1,750. Well, that's pretty common right now. If you go out to try to rent something in the area, you're going to pay between $1,700 and $2,000, period. I mean, it doesn't matter how big or small it is. That's kind of the average range. I'm sure there's some smaller or lower than that, but you know, I don't know if we're gonna be able to help them because we can't pay $3,000, you know, like we kind of limit. I mean, there's just some things, and we're trying to work with them and their landlord to see if they can get to the end of their lease and, you know, but that's not really even what we do, but we're trying really hard to help them not, because if you get an eviction on you, then it's hard to get anything else. And we're just trying to figure out, how do you navigate this? And these people are afraid, they don't know what to do. And, you know, it would really stink 2 months before their lease is up that they would get evicted.
Right.
And it's possible that they'll get evicted.
Probably even likely.
It is. And so then they can't rent something else. So, you know, you'll see this family with their children in their car, or I don't know where they'll go, you know? And so we this year are really focusing on trying to help people stay in their homes, educating them on talking to their mortgage lenders, educating them on talking to their landlords, and just seeing what we can do. But it's real hard. And because once they become homeless, the crisis multiplies exponentially. So, you know, right now, one of the things we're doing, and I know you have our mission, our mission partners sponsorship page up there, but one of the things you'll see on that is like what your money's going to do. So $10,000 is going to provide food, clothing, and financial assistance for 72 families for an entire 12 months. So like,
that's a pretty good use of the money.
Yeah. And so, but we're trying to break it down because the reality is that we need people kind of adopting a family, and we're trying to focus a little bit differently on what your dollars do, educate our donors. And then we're going to have our Vineyard Vibes event April 23rd. I tried to get the flyer. I couldn't get it for you right now.
Just send it on, and we'll throw it in the rotation.
But that's going to be one of our big fundraisers, and we're not doing our Harvest Feast this year, but instead we're going to do a sponsor appreciation brunch in November. And what we want to do is share with you what your dollars have done. It's going to be a fundraiser as well, with silent auction and things like that. But we really want to help people to see what their dollars are doing and how they're helping change this community. And so we're looking for partners to come alongside of us. You know, we go all the way down to $150 a year. You know, that's about $12 a month. And being able to help one family, you know, and we want to be able to keep people in their homes, and we can't do it. Our donor, when we came into 2023, donations had been down. I kind of talked about that last year. And what we're trying to do is balance that so we can get our financial assistance. We're writing grants. We're doing more than just asking, you know, individuals, but we want to give individuals the opportunity to help, you know, come alongside it. You know, anywhere from $5 to $1,000 a month. You know, a lot of people are like, I can't do a $10,000 sponsorship, but they're like, I could do $800 a month. And so, you know, a pledge like that helps us to know what's happening in our community, and that really makes us be able to be better stewards, because we can buy in bigger bulk, because there are some really big bulk opportunities, but we've got to be good stewards and be able to, you know, justify the cash, because it's super duper cheap, but you have to buy quite a bit. So that's just kind of where we're going. And I tell people, you know, if you have questions, concerns, about us, about our organization, about me, about whatever, come talk to me, you know. Just let's get together. Let's give you a tour. About a month, I'll give you a tour. But we are going to have an open house. That next time I'm here, should be able to talk about our open house, to come and see the new facility, how it's going on. If you haven't been to the new resale store, head on over there. I get a lot of good feedback. People who like to thrift shop we have people coming from Weatherford and all over.
Well, that's a thing, you know. My daughter, in particular, her generation, they like thrift shopping.
I love thrift shopping.
I see her and she'll have some clothes on I don't recognize. Oh, I got this at a thrift shop. You know, that's a big thing. And then also for a lot of young couples and young singles, you know, I send them to y'all, because they can get some cookware there. They can get, you know, if they need a table and chairs, and get that there, and they could get it for a whole lot less than buying at, you know, some retail outlet.
Absolutely. We just had an Ashley Furniture king size bed frame. Cloth, and it was really nice. It had just a tiny little stain on it that, like, once you made your bed, you would never see it. But we were able to sell that. I think it was a couple $100, but it was brand new, tags, everything. But we get things like that sometimes. And, you know, like you're saying, young couples come in and, you know, we do have nice stuff because this community donates nice stuff to us. So,
well, I had donated something last week, and it was just mostly some shirts that my son had. They were in great shape, but he's outgrown them. You know, we were clearing out his old closet, and also some small pieces of furniture and such. And there's like, I had to wait for your guy to help somebody in front of me, and there was 3 cars behind me.
That's great.
Eventually, and it's like, wow, you know. And this was like on a Thursday afternoon. This wasn't some special event, or just a typical day. And, you know, they were dropping bags off of various stuff. But it really was interesting. And then when my wife and daughter dropped some stuff off at your place, they went and took a look. And my wife bought this Waterford candy jar for like $10.
Yeah.
All right, Waterford, right?
Yeah.
It didn't have the lid, which apparently is a big deal. But, you know, I said, well, if it's a candy jar, does it really need a lid? And
because I'm going to be in there the whole time.
That's right. And so, that's the kind of thing my wife likes to do. She likes to bargain hunt like that, you know. Her big thing is Waterford. You know, she could buy a piece of Waterford for much less than what it originally went for. She feels like she's scored or something.
Might have something for her.
Yeah. But we mentioned this, and you've implied it really. Well, you already talked about it. You didn't imply it. The numbers are rising in terms of the homeless, and you're talking about the carless. Not carless, homeless in cars. That's what a dumb way to put it. But they're homeless in cars, not carless in homes. No, it's early.
I know, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I've heard that from other people that aren't even really involved in, you know, outreach or charitable organizations like yours, just observations by citizens, that we're getting more and more of that.
Well, I was just looking, the homeless number for January was 2, you know, and you think that's not very much, but you multiply that as the year goes on, you know, it gets bigger and bigger. I don't have the February numbers yet. She's just finishing up our February report. We still have a couple days left, but so it's it's definitely on the rise, and consistently, I remember when I first started, we'd have like 3 a year. So we've already had 2 in January. I guess that's kind of the scope to understand. Like when I started in 2016, and I genuinely think we had just a couple of homeless people come, and
But when you're talking about homeless, we're not really talking about those that like are in between housing, like you talked about earlier. We're talking about what I'm thinking of is what I'm, talked with people about. They know of people that are literally living out of their cars, even if it's just for a week or 2 weeks.
They live in their cars.
Yeah.
They couch hop from one house to another. If you don't have a permanent address, you are considered homeless.
Right.
And there's a lot, and we're not capturing the full number because there are a lot of people in their cars and stuff, or they're, coming off the street. We've had quite a few that just come over, and, we want to balance like how we care for them. I've talked to the city, I've talked to the mayor. I mean, there's lots of conversation happening. The problem is it's not an easy solution because you don't want them living next door to you.
No.
And I say that like with quotations because they're just us. But there's so many reasons people are homeless. There are some who choose to be homeless. There's mental ill. There's a lot in crisis that don't want to be homeless. I mean, the scope is so broad.
But the impression of a homeless person is something you see under a bridge with obvious mental or drug addictions or whatever.
But nowadays, it's just not the same.
That's not the same. There are people that are working class citizens and have full-time jobs. They just the life and the economy crunches them a bit.
Many of them have jobs, whether they're full-time or part-time, a lot of times because they're underemployed. And it's so funny because everybody's hiring, but it's really hard for some people to get a job. If you don't have an address, it's really hard to get a job.
And if you don't have the, let's say, the wherewithal to present yourself appropriately at an interview, if you haven't had time to go buy the hairstylist or whatever, or the money for that, or a decent set of clothes, there
are a lot of factors that start working against them.
And as far, that is a good point you made, though. It is a very difficult problem because I've had people say we need to have like a shelter or something like that, but then you get where you put it, right? If you put it on public property and all this, is it near a school? Is it near stores? Do you want your business to be right across the street from one of these things?
Who's going to take care of it? Who's going to pay for it?
Right, and it's in a private facility, that would.
And
that'd be possible, I suppose. But, again, you talk about what about the neighborhoods it's in?
I do need to shout out for Crazy 8. They are not a homeless ministry, but they help rehabilitate people. And their program is so successful. And frequently we refer people there. Unfortunately, just like so many other things, they don't have the space, because there are so many people in crisis, housing crisis, life crisis, because a lot of these people are just in life crisis. And, so if you're going to look at if this is something that's really near and dear to your heart, and we partner with them, we try to partner with them if their participants need stuff, just like Center for ASD, and others, Family Crisis Center. Sometimes we're more prevalent in helping each other and other times we're not, but we definitely want to be there to support each other because we do different things. But I can't say enough about like what they do, Promises, with their counseling. They also help with food. They do some financial assistance and stuff, Harley House of Hope. I mean, this is a team of organizations, and I'm not saying that we're always like meeting and stuff like that, but we support each other, and we have to because not one of us can do it. So we need to support all of them and make sure that all of these organizations are successful.
Well, one of my very favorite shows of all time is when y'all were all here in September.
We should do it again.
We are going to do it again. It was your idea.
It was?
Yeah, you don't remember? You said, you have to get together, and all this. It was, no, you're the first one suggested
That's
that.
funny. I don't remember that.
Well,
I thought it was your idea.
Well, I'll take credit for it. But
Go for it. You can have
it's
it.
like, that's a good idea. I didn't.
Yeah.
And so, but I guess when's the next one of those Giving Days? Is it always in late September?
Yep.
Okay, then you're already booked for late
All
September.
right,
God willing, I'm
great.
still here and haven't been run out of town or something like that
Right,
after this
that's
election. But anyway, they, I was all Crazy 8 at that expo, and I was talking with one of their people, and it was one of their clients, and she was talking about how they got her off the street and all this other stuff, and how they helped her get her life back together again. And so I just thought that was pretty a wonderful thing. And one of my former students works at that organization, and she was telling me all about it. So I hope you'll get them on the show sometime.
Yeah, we've hired some of the folks. They were in their program, came to work for us, and now
Do you have people that work full time?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And we've had people from, if somebody like Crazy 8 refers somebody, I'm going to give them a top shot because I know the program they've come through. I know they've been vetted. So generally they end up being excellent employees. And then, we just help with that process of continuing
So
to move them on.
So if you are hiring, like you have a couple positions open, do you pointedly seek out those type of
I have,
hires?
yes.
Okay, so it isn't, I'm sure somebody from the community applies, it's great, but if you have an opening, you say, I want this type of person that needs a second shot, third shot.
Absolutely.
So,
We
yeah,
do.
I got you.
We definitely, and actually we've just wrote a grant for trying to be able to hire more harder to employ individuals, people with criminal backgrounds. Obviously if it's violent or different things like that, we don't accept that, but we just can't.
Oh, well,
but,
obviously, yes.
But there's so many people who just made some stupid mistakes. And I mean, like a lot of people, it's just like, you just didn't get caught. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
I mean, let's just
we
be
all make
real,
mistakes,
you
yeah.
know? And I love it because a lot of times, not a lot of times, almost I'd say 95% of the time, they're the best staff. I would say, I figured this out. I think it was like 7 out of 10 of our staff came from a less employable opportunity that are working for us now.
And at least you get them back on their feet again.
Absolutely. And most of them don't leave because they like it there. They thankfully, they like working for us. So,
I can see why, though. I mean, they're giving back to the
Yeah.
community. I mean, I know th're getting, getting an hourly wage and all that other stuff, but they're doing something with their lives. It's productive and useful and
Yep.
noble, and they probably, I'm sure it gives them a great deal of satisfaction.
yeah,
And I'm glad that y'all were able to provide that.
absolutely.
When I have political candidates on here, almost always we talk about the housing situation in this town. And you mentioned earlier about rent. It's ridiculously high. I know the market is what the market is, and I'm not saying landlords are gouging and all this. I'm not into all that kind of crap, but the market is setting a pretty high rate. And I find that very unfortunate that it's such a
Yeah.
restraining factor. And then we have people, some in the community, that don't want apartments because of what they perceived will happen to their property values, or those people, as you mentioned, them,
Yeah.
or Section 8 housing. This is often
It's here anyway.
Well,
so
here's all-
it's just mixed into the other.
right, but here's something they don't know about yet. I just read this last week
Oh, I may
that
not know
this tried to happen in the Obama administration, and it's going to happen in the Biden administration. They're going to do what they call blockbusting, is the term, where they're going to have people moving into neighborhoods under not apartments, but into single family homes under Section 8 housing.
Absolutely.
And
It
so-
happens right now. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been Obama that changed it because that's why you don't have like the projects, if
Right,
you will.
exactly.
They're integrated into where you live anyway. There's a lot of it now that people just don't know.
That's exactly right. We don't build projects anymore. We just subsidize the rent or the mortgage. And
Yep.
so I don't know if any of my neighbors have it, but it could happen. And I
You'd
just
probably be
I
surprised.
would. And
Really?
do I have a problem? I don't have a problem with either of my neighbors, so I guess I don't have a
Right.
problem with it. But it just I think Burleson for a long, long time, has looked very much askance at public assisted housing of some
Yeah.
sort. I remember, and then not just Burleson. I mean, these kind of community squabbles go on all the time. I was reading.
It's hard because you really do. I mean, I used to live over in Shannon Creek and they were building apartments behind there. And I remember everybody was worried about property values. And, on one hand, you're like, come on. On the other hand, you're like, okay, I kind of get it. Because it may be great now, but what's going to happen in 10 years when they sell it and,
Right.
All that. Can I go back and say one
You can-
little thing about the resale store before we move on to other stuff?
You bet. You can talk all you want.
So, speaking of being a good neighbor, you'll find in Local Life a little article this month about leaving items unattended. The city considers that dumping, and they are going to start ticketing people if they're leaving stuff. The city council, everybody's getting complaints that people are leaving items. We've put up barricades. We've done everything we can to put up signs. We're getting some new signs.
I saw them there when I locked them up. The big old warning signs like "Leave this unattended, and
But-
we'll hunt you down."
Pretty much, yeah, that's not it. But people are still leaving stuff. Like last night, I came in this morning, there's a ton of stuff. Well, it rained last night, so most of that's going to probably have to go in the trash. And that part is an inconvenience for us. But the reality is people steal it. And because we haven't really received it, there's not much we can do. I mean, we try to, get the police engaged, and they're like, basically, they've had so many complaints that people are leaving it that they're going to start writing tickets. And we're trying to work with code enforcement. We're trying to work with the PD. I don't want people to get ticketed. Okay, so one of our new signs is going to have our hours on it. But if there is not a person there to hand it to, please don't leave it, because you could get a $500 to $10,000
$10,000,
depending on what it is. It has to do with the value of the item. So most likely you wouldn't get a $10,000, but it's a state code. And I was like, I'm just letting people know, because we want to educate people, because Harvest House wants to be a good neighbor.
Right.
And when our neighbors are unhappy that this stuff is there because it's unsightly, that's not us being a good neighbor. And so just like what we're talking about with projects or whatever, people don't like it because the projects are moving in, and if we're not having a clean facility, and I cannot staff it 24/7. Somebody actually asked that.
I was going to ask you.
We're a nonprofit. We can't. I mean, we're going to try to look at some extended hours, but there's only so much we can do, because I have to pay people. Because, yes, we have a lot of volunteers, but if you're going to be open and you have a retail store, you just, there's just some liability and different things we have of who can be there and what we're doing. So please don't. I mean, the bottom line is, if nobody's there, please don't leave it. We are working on trying to see if we can extend our hours some to make it a little more convenient on the weekends. But on Sundays, we are not open at all. I mean, we want our families out with their families, a day of rest, because we all need it. So please just wait till Monday. We're looking at potentially Saturday being open a little bit later. It's not happening right now. But we're looking at our budget and all those things, because there's just a lot we want to be good stewards of what we're given. But we also want to be good customer service with our donors.
Well, how could you have full-time security? I mean, because the police have other duties besides just hanging around Harvest
No, they
House
wanted us to have staff. Somebody had suggested that, but it's not going to happen, unfortunately. It's expensive. I mean, salaries, and you got to watch, as a nonprofit, we really have to, actually, if you think about it, people look at what is the salary versus donations and stuff. And so most people want a nonprofit to be under 20% operational costs. Well, that includes your salaries. So if I'm staffing 24/7, I can't. Most people aren't asking that. It's just, I understand, because it's also against city code to have the bins out front like we used to have. That's the only reason we don't. Their city code is looking at revamping all their city code, but they have to follow the law. That doesn't mean at some point it can't change. But right now, it's written that way. So until somebody, changes that code, we have to follow the law. I mean, it's just what it is. Code enforcement has said that that's kind of on the docket of things to look at, just other codes in general, because they're older. But we want to be good citizens. We want to be good stewards. We want to be all that. So we just ask that people not come when we're not open. Our hours are listed everywhere. So
I have Victoria Johnson coming on in about 3 weeks, and if I'll ask her about that very question about what we can do about this. Also have the mayor on next week, a week from tomorrow. I'll ask him, and I have Ronnie Johnson on the 14th. Yes, I'm bragging. So I have 3 city council members coming on the next few weeks. I'll ask them the question: what can we do to make this work?
Right.
We have to do something, because we need you to operate it, not just profitably, but successfully. And if the city can contribute in some manner.
And it's not just for us. There's other organizations that have bins all around town and stuff as well. So I don't know why some can have them, some can't. Some may be in Tarrant County, and that may be why. But anyway, I feel so supported by the city. So I'm not bashing the city at all.
All right.
They are so awesome. And that's why we had this conversation. We were like, what can we do? So we put up the barricades, and I feel like we're partners in this, and they want us to be successful. We want to honor the rules and the laws. And I mean that genuinely, not just to sound good. I do.
Yeah. Well, of course, you want to be a good neighbor. You want to have a good reputation, which y'all do. Y'all have a sterling reputation. And I've said many times on the show, how fortunate I am to be sitting in this seat, and I get to be exposed to all these nonprofits that really just do wonderful things.
Right.
And when I talk to people in other communities, they have things like that in their towns as well, but I don't think they have it to the degree we do.
I don't either. I talk to people all over the country in small towns like our size, and even what the economic development team does to support the small businesses and big businesses too. I mean, it's different. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to put a finger on. You go other places and all these businesses closed and all. I mean, I think they said one business closed during COVID, and it was one that was like planning on it. I can't remember who it was,
Mm-hmm.
but that's all we lost during COVID, and that's
Right.
pretty remarkable.
Well, we kept the restaurants going with those that could, do the
Yeah.
takeout routine, and and we emphasize shopping local, which is what I prefer to do.
Yeah.
And see, that's what I talk about with the political folks about how much we've grown, how much that's been a benefit. I've been here since '90. Well, I've been here since '88 as an employee, and '91 since as a resident. And we used to go to Fort Worth for everything. Now we can do
Yep.
it here. But also Fort Worth is coming our direction, and this
Yeah.
is what we were talking about this whole show, is they're coming our direction too.
Yeah.
And what they're sending, so to speak, is more putting more and more on our shoulders as a need.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to do this. I mean, this is what we do as Christians and as Americans.
Yep.
But it isn't easy, and it ain't cheap. So
That's true. Both of those things are true.
I have to ask though,
Yeah.
when you come on the show and you always have all these things going on, do you ever get tired? I mean,
If you normally ask me, I'm like, I'm just exhausted.
yeah, I mean, but
Actually, it's been good. And once I truly believe this, once we get through this construction project and I have an
Mm-hmm.
office again, actually my whole team is in the annex, which is the 106 Southwest Thomas. We're all working. It's kind of funny, but, and so we're working offsite. So once we get back into that stable place, I think it's going to make a big difference because we're going to have some space to, yes, we all get exhausted.
mm-hmm.
The team is tired, and we'll be able to bring in more volunteers again because I know a lot of people want to volunteer. And we kind of had to, because of construction,
Mm-hmm.
we only can put people in certain spaces because parts of the building are like literally blocked off. So we've had to kind of say, hey, whoa, for just a few weeks. So then it's more pressure, but it's safety, and
Right.
taking care of our people. But
Well, I've been just talking about you're always having to rely on the community
Yeah.
for not just goods and services and whatnot, but also for donations.
yeah,
And you do these events, and I don't know, that takes a lot of stamina. You must have something to help you get through that.
it's fake. I'm just kidding. Honestly, it's passion. And I just believe that the Lord has called me to this job. And I really believe that's why, because I love taking care of people who are hurting. Like that's what drives me. It just helping people, even if they're not hurting. I love to connect people. That's just me personally, but my team, they all have different reasons and stuff too, but they love being able to help somebody have food that didn't have food and make them walk away with a smile. And that's what keeps you going when you're just like, man, I am so tired. I don't want to do this. But my passion and my love for Christ, and I believe that I was called here because I feel like this organization has grown beyond any of my talents. And I feel like God put me here, but he also just qualified me once he got me here. Cause I was like, I remember when I started this job, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And it just kind of kept growing, but we've had great board members who've believed in me and have partnered. We've partnered together. Chris Fletcher was on our board for a long time, and that's why he's so passionate about Harvest House. But he too was called here. He had no interest in being a part of Harvest House, and somebody said, "Hey, come on over." And the Lord led him, and the resale shop was kind of a vision Chris and I had back when I started in 2016, and boom, here it is. That's why he gets so excited about it.
I'll be asking about it next week because because we'll have this up, and he's always, it's such a great organization, He really is a very, very, very big cheerleader for y'all.
And there's many, Patsy Dumas is like that
Patsy
with
Dumas,
us. Oh my gosh, she's such a great lady too.
Yes. I mean, a lot of these names you throw out there is like, of course. I mean, these are like the pillars of our society, of our town here. We're about out of time, so why don't you tell us what you want us to know what's going on in the next 3 months as far as events,
Yeah, absolutely.
Opportunities to serve or give, whatnot. So take it away.
All right. Well, right now, the biggest thing is our mission sponsors, and there's a QR code here. If people, it's yourharvesthouse.org. You know what? I don't know what the actual website link is to that. Sorry. Yourharvesthouse.org/donate. And if you want to do an actual sponsorship to receive things, great. If you just want to give, anybody can give and become a mission sponsor.
When you say a sponsor, is it like similar to like Eagle's Nest, where you're sponsoring a specific child, Or is
It's
it?
not a specific child. No, so
Okay.
the sponsorship, like a sponsorship level, is that you'll get additional value for you'll get tickets to Vineyard Vibes. So our next actual event is April 23rd at Lost Oak Winery. We have I think it's 5 artists, local artists, mixing it up a little bit this year. Some new people, really excited about it. I'll have the poster to you later today. I couldn't find it this morning when I was coming. But if you want to put up a poster in your business, you can reach out to Rachel at yourharvesthouse.org. That's Rachel at yourharvesthouse.org. And she can get you flyers. If you want more information, all the information is, you can email me, Jennifer at yourharvesthouse.org. And right now, because I'm not in my office, it's best just email me and not call me.
Yeah, right.
Because it's a little crazy. But we definitely need food. And I said this a little while ago, we needed meat. We still need meat because that's one of the things that we cannot purchase at this moment. I was sharing with a local banker earlier that we are part of an organization that we used to be able to buy it for $1.16 a pound, but now they're packaging it in 5-pound packages. And that just doesn't make the same amount of sense for us to be able to buy 5 pounds. I mean, that used to be 5 families we could help. Now it's 1. So, we've just had to adjust, and we're continuing to look for different resources. But the Lord has just provided, and we just want to honor him with that. And we want to have fresher, healthier foods for our families. And we want them to feel good about coming and shopping for it. And that's our ultimate goal, is how do we continue to do it. Once we get our building open, we're going to have an education space.
Goodness,
so
really?
If people are interested in, doing different things, like I've reached out to HEB, and they might be interested in doing some like healthy cooking with the foods that we get you from the pantry. How do you make something better out of it? How do you make something that's tasty and just not green bean casserole? But there's a lot of I love green bean
I
casserole.
can't stand it. I hate
And
it.
so I see that. But there's just a lot of, you may have a skill, stress management, budgeting. I've talked to a couple of the banks about financial literacy, which is different than just budgeting. And how do we get this? I would like this community to get involved. If you've got something that you can share, we want to be able to offer classes while our clients are there. They're coming to get their financial assistance or their food. I'd love to offer things during the day so they can stop in, because it's so hard. We're all so busy having to run everywhere. Can we offer some of those things during the day while they're there? Some other things during the evenings or weekends. And we're really excited about it. I think that I hope we see some great partnerships. Next Steps does a lot of parenting classes. I'm hoping they'll slide over and do a few with us. I've been working with Megan over there. And, how do we work together? Again,
I know Megan has got some event
she's
coming up,
great.
and she looked at me when they were on a couple of weeks ago, and we will be back on, right? Oh, yes, Megan, of course. She cracks me up.
So
But
fun.
yeah, well, y'all got a lot going on. It's obvious. So we'll help what we can over here.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
And we'll when we go out there, we'll set a date for your next show. Probably I already have a couple of dates, 27th or 28th of March, because like I'm bragging about, I'm pretty booked. It's election season.
That's all right.
And that happens, and I'm really pleased with that. But there's always going to be a spot. Always set your spot and Cabrina Daniel spot and
That's
BSD
nice.
spot.
Great.
Those are taken.
Right.
So we'll see. Everybody else is up for grabs.
The one nice thing about I will say, I'm going to say this, it's political, but that's okay.
Fine, go ahead.
I'm excited about this election because there's a lot of great people running.
Yes, they
I
are.
feel like what I've seen so far, there's not a lot of losing if somebody wins. Do you know what I'm saying? Like great, solid candidates. And that's exciting to me that Burleson's and BISD are in good hands moving forward.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of BISD candidates, tomorrow I meet Mr. Rob Duke. I don't know him
Oh,
personally.
I don't know that.
I don't know him
I
personally.
hadn't heard his name either. So
He was somebody who got on the race. I forget. I think he's place 2. I get those places all
okay,
mixed
I understand.
up. And he contacted me, and so we set up a time.
Excellent.
And I checked his page out, and it looks legit.
Great.
So it's a good thing. So we'll find out all about him tomorrow, and I'll be interested to find out what his vision is and what his motivations for running, this whatnot. I have Mr. Fletcher on the 7th. I have Mr. Johnson on the 14th. I have Victoria Johnson on the 23rd. And I have Shandy on the 20th. And I saw Dallas Owen at Expo, and she's going to contact me when she's ready for
Great.
another show, but she wants to do it again. So it's
Excellent.
it's I'm very pleased. This week also Thursday I have Gabrina on, and she's always a great guest. I mean,
Yeah, she's fun.
I just usually say, "Okay, Gabrina, how are you doing?" And then I come back after an hour and say, "Okay, guys, we'll see you next week," because she
Right.
has so much enthusiasm and
I know. It's awesome.
spirit and pep and all this other stuff. But I appreciate what you do for this community. Jewels in your crown, and if we can help, we sure want to.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Mhm.